The powers that be do not care about lives lost or blood spilled. What they care about is the cost, right? I say this a lot, but the oppression will not end until the cost to perpetrate it exceeds what the oppressor is willing to pay. And they are willing to pay in soldiers' blood, in policemen's blood, in your blood. But what they are not willing to pay is their profit. So
yeah, it was the property damage that did it.
And that's why systems like that vote in Congress to keep supplying Israel with defensive arms. Oh, it's just defensive arms. That is preventing that cost. That is stopping their aggression from costing them more than what they're willing to pay, which is why that needs to be defunded. When we're talking about these AI data centers and the things they're perpetrating on the American people and cost, they're passing the cost on to us because they are not willing to pay that cost. It's not worth it to them to pursue that means if they have to pay it. So if those data centers get, Lord forbid, not advocating it, if those data centers get targeted and it begins to cost them, God forbid, I will pray for them. God forbid they get targeted, that would dissuade them from pursuing that avenue until there's regulations in place. So it's an effective form of protest, an effective form of war, or at least counter-terror in this case.
The sabotage.
The sabotage and damage of their property. It is what these people are obsessed with. They're obsessed with their profit. They're obsessed with their property. They're obsessed with owning things. They're obsessed with control. The more you challenge that and the more avenues you can do that and make it cost more to them, the less power they have, the less they can do. I think in the modern age, what we've seen even with like Ukraine, the drone strikes deep into Russia and all of that, they're targeting infrastructure. They're targeting the economy. They're not targeting apartment buildings. They're not trying to kill innocent civilians. They are trying to hit Russia's bottom dollar. And that is an effective way of waging war. A small power can take on a much bigger power if they're strategic and calculated in what they're attacking and how they're trying to play the economy. That's the point. That I think that's what I took from that was my takeaway from this. That's why I wanted to share it. That's why I thought it was a really effective video and glance at the history of it. It painted the Irish resistance in a very fair light and a very honest light. They didn't gloss over the innocent lives lost. That was a very real thing, but it really drove home the point of like what the British actually cared about. They didn't care about their soldiers. They didn't care about their police. They didn't care about the shoppers. They cared about their buildings collapsing. They cared about having to pay to repair them. They cared about the things that affected their shopping malls and their revenue income. All of that. And that is how you fight a superpower. That is how a little man can fight a big power.